And so I thought, why don't I make the transition to TV, to television? And so I knocked on CNN's door. And
Wow.
CNN is a huge global brand,
Yeah.
not one that I thought that I had what it took to get into. But I knocked on their door and I applied and I applied and applied. 4 applications later, they called me for an interview.
Wow.
So, you know, I moved from Maryland to Atlanta. The global headquarters is there. I interviewed, I got the job, and I was there for 6 years. Some of the best 6 years of my life. I met heads of states, I've met huge politicians, influencers, celebrities, dignitaries. It was such a phenomenal job. You know, creating their own businesses, you know, which is important. And so, okay, if you see something's wrong, come and help and try and fix it. That's what I did when it comes to female education. I can't do everything, but I'm doing my part. So yeah, if you see that, you know, Guyanese are too laid back or this is not right or that, come and what can you do to help? Don't just sit and complain.
It's true. What about those who are convinced they want to move back? What would be like the 3rd best advice for them before they
3?
step? Yeah. You know, people move back without research and sometimes they come and they couldn't survive, they had to leave.
Yeah, not everyone
So,
survives, yes.
Yeah. So if someone is interested in moving, what would be the best 3 advice for them?
Visit first. Don't be silly like me and just move. But no, I visited many times before
you moved,
yeah. So I visited and I knew this is something I want to do. But if you've never come, please visit first. Number 2.
So, an African American sister left a very, very good paying job back in the United States, and she came to live what many would call a humble life, or rather a poor life in Africa as compared to the life that she was living in the United States of America. Actually, sister confessed that she was working for the CNN, the media company in the United States of America.
I was young, I was 23 years old. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it, and I did it well.
Wow.
This was in 2009, right when there was a huge global crisis. There was a financial recession, and the newspaper industry was dying. And so I was told, the owner of the newspaper brings me to our office, and she says, you know, you've been great, but we don't need you anymore. We can't afford you.
Wow.
And she let go some of her staff. I was one of them.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought, why don't I make the transition to TV, to television? And so I knocked on CNN's door. And
Wow.
CNN is a huge global brand,
Yeah.
not one that I thought that I had what it took to get into. But I knocked on their door and I applied and I applied and applied. 4 applications later, they called me for an interview.
Wow.
So, you know, I moved from Maryland to Atlanta. The global headquarters is there. I interviewed, I got the job, and I was there for 6 years. Some of the best 6 years of my life. I met heads of states, I've met huge politicians, influencers, celebrities, dignitaries. It was such a phenomenal job.
It is.
And then one day, I was sitting in my living room. It was a Saturday afternoon. I never forget this day. It was the last Saturday of September in 2017. And I was sitting in my living room just like this. And I had an epiphany. And a voice came down and said, Zaina, move to Ghana.
Wow.
I don't know what that voice was. I learned, well, we'll talk about that more. We were talking about energy and vibrations. But something in my heart told me to go back home.
Wow.
And 2 months later, I bought a one-way ticket. I reduced all of my life's possessions into 3 suitcases.
Wow.
Resigned from my job, huge job.
It is huge.
And moved here. And
Wow.
Yeah, that's my story.
Wow.
Yeah.
CNN. And you
Yes.
said, I'm quitting. I can't believe this.
You know when you have a voice inside of, have you had that feeling?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often. It happens maybe 3 or 4 times in your lifetime, where something in your gut just tells you to do something. You don't have a plan, you don't know what you're going to do, but you just know that this is something that is bigger than me. It's a calling bigger than me. And that was one of those moments.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now walk us through how it felt like when you stepped foot on the continent.
Well, before I get to what it felt like when I stepped, I have to say the weeks leading up to the move were terrifying. I lost, oh my God, I lost like 8 pounds in like a week.
Yeah,
I
you were
wasn't
thinking
eating.
too much.
Yeah, I was scared.
Oh,
It's
wow.
scary.
Because of what you've seen on the news or what?
No, I'm uprooting my life. I had a very good life. I was making a great salary. I had a
Yes.
great social life. I had my family was there. I lived in a really nice part of
Wow.
town.
And
I
you
was
were
doing
leaving it
well.
behind?
And I was leaving all of this behind to start something new, and I didn't know what exactly that was, you know?
Yeah, I would feel the same way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had an anxiety attack, actually. I had a layover at the airport, and I was literally like, can I do this? And I called my mom, and my mother said, Ajia, that's what they call me. She says, if you don't want to do this, come back home. And I remember thinking to myself, well, if I come back home, what am I going to tell everyone? I had a going away party. And so I kind of let like that push me, you know.
Yeah. But what did they even say though? Your friends and family, when you told them, listen, I'm quitting my job. I'm working in CNN and I'm quitting my job. I'm going in the middle of Africa.
Yeah.
I'm leaving everything behind. I'm
Yeah.
leaving. What did your family and friends say to you?
Surprisingly, 90% of them were like, you have my full support.
Okay.
You're going to do great out there.
Okay.
This is something that you should do. They knew and I knew that I needed a transition in my life and I needed something new. And then there was a couple of people who said, you're kidding me? What are you going to do there? Are you crazy? And it was that 10%. That was the one that pushed
you.
me. Yeah, not the people that
Oh, wow.
supported me.
Wow.
It was the ones who said, you're not going to survive there in 1 year. Those were the ones I was like, I have to prove a point.
Yeah. And you are here.
I'm here 4 years later.
Wow. So how long have you been in Ghana so far?
4 years.
4 years. And
Yeah.
you're still standing.
I'm still standing. I'm-
How are you adapting?
You know what I always tell people, you never fully adapt to Ghana. It's always like something new that you learn. But I say if you can survive the first year, you'll be fine. And so the first year was just full of just great experiences, being in new culture, a new environment, meeting new people. It was the best decision that I ever made. And I don't regret moving to Ghana, not
Wow.
1 minute. Yeah,
What does Ghana mean to you? When someone say you hear that in Ghana, what does it mean to you?
freedom,
Freedom.
peace of mind,
Wow.
happiness, joy,
Wow.
love.
Wow.
Ghana is an incredible place.
Because you didn't choose to go anywhere else.
No.
There's 55 countries in Africa.
Yeah.
But you chose Ghana.
Yeah. But you know, also, like, if you go back to the beginning of my story, I'm Ghanaian. My mother and my father are Ghanaian.
Also, did that influence it?
Absolutely.
A little bit? Okay.
You know,
Okay.
all of my family besides my mother and my father and my 2 sisters are here. And so moving here connected me to my bloodline, my ancestry. I learned so much. Do you know how bizarre it is to see someone you've never met before who looks just like you?
It's like, I know you.
Yeah,
You
the
look
same
like my cousin.
mannerisms. And it's like, wow, like I would have never experienced that.
So did
if
you
I
trace
didn't.
your roots?
The best that I could. I have a very, my bloodline is very complex. We come from many different places. I have Togolese in me, there's Mali in me. My father was telling me there's Saudi somewhere down the
Wow.
line. So it's very complex, but as far as I could, yes, I did like trace the steps to see who were my grandparents, what did they do, my great-grandparents, and you know, I got to like my great-great-grandparents. And
Wow. That's very interesting.
then the story gets, yeah, it is interesting.
Will you say you are comfortable in Ghana?
100%.
Really?
Yeah. I had I would say at the 2-year mark, I had an itch to go back home.
Yeah.
And I want to also talk about your experience because you
Yeah.
did the international thing too.
Maybe I did too.
And I had the itch to go back home. And so I went back home and I just remember like within a day or two, I was ready to come back to Ghana. There's something about this place that just pulls you back. And I
no
can't
matter how,
explain.
because I imagine very hot afternoon
Yeah.
under the shower,
Yeah.
taking a shower, turn it on, and then the water just cut off. Now you have to look for a bucket and then fetch some water and have to use spill.
Yeah.
And you say you went back to the US and you came back again.
Yeah, that's a true reality. I remember I was getting ready to go out. Like, it was a huge event. It was a Saturday night, and I just got out the shower, and I played some music, and I'm getting ready to, like, do my hair and my makeup. Lights off.
Wow.
Yeah, lights
Wow.
off.
This is typical Ghana.
It's true. And listen, it's a reality.
Wow.
But a generator can fix that, no? I know not everyone
could,
can have
if you can afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford a generator or polytank, you know, I understand that that's a reality, but I don't I don't look at it that way. I see the beauty of Ghana. It's just a part of the experience.
So if you should go back in time, you are a day before you made that decision to resign.
Yeah.
If you are asked, do you want to do it? Will you still press the button?
A day before?
Yeah, you made that decision.
That's a great question.
Will you still say yes? Let's go to
That's
Ghana?
a really great question that no one's ever asked me. You're really good. You're really good. You know, I don't think I would have. No.
Really?
It was something about that moment on that Saturday afternoon in September. Wow. If you had asked me 24 hours earlier, I would have said, what? No way, I'm not leaving. Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting.
What do you have to say about that? Example, an estimated time to finish a building was 1 year, but due to, today, tomorrow, it's completed in 2-3 years. So business was not able to start, delaying everything. What do you have to say about that?
It's a cultural thing. I do think what I do love about the diaspora coming is that I have friends who are business owners who are working with the locals and teaching them, you know, you can work efficiently and get things done. And, you know, they're taking that knowledge and they're, you know, creating their own businesses, you know, which is important. And so, okay, if you see something's wrong, come and help and try and fix it. That's what I did when it comes to female education. I can't do everything, but I'm doing my part. So yeah, if you see that, you know, Ghanaians are too laid back or this is not right or that, come and what can you do to help? Don't just sit and complain.
That's true.
Sitting on the sidelines isn't going to help.
Wow.
Get on the court and start shooting with the other players.
People move back without research and sometimes they come and they couldn't survive, they had to leave.
Not everyone survives.
So if someone is interested in moving, what would be the best 3 advice for them?
Visit first. Don't be silly like me and just move. But no, I visited many times before
you moved.
So I visited and I knew this is something I want to do. But if you've never come, please visit first. Number 2, there's beauty in everything. My philosophy is that there's beauty in everything. And so please remember that when you do decide to come, you're coming here, but Ghana is an emerging market. We're a developing country. And so you're not going to have a lot of, or some of the leisures that you have in the US. Be mindful of that. But know that there's beauty in all of that. Okay? And if you can survive here, living here has taught me that there's nothing I can't do. And so it's a test to yourself. Can you? And then the third piece of advice is, when in Rome, do as the Romans, yes? So don't come to Ghana with this mentality of, you know, oh, this is not how we do it in America. You're not in America, you're in Ghana.
You Black American, I want you to listen to me. Choosing to live a simple life in Africa means taking a break from the busy life in the Western world, which is USA. In USA, you face a lot of things. We know these challenges that you face, you know. Sometimes our inner thoughts get quieted by bigger goals and what others expect of us. In Ghana or in Africa, away from busy workplaces, people can listen to their inner thoughts again. They can find old dreams, things they love, and a reason for what they do, which might have been hard to see when they first had a fast-paced job in the United States of America and moved to Africa, live a very humble job, and lose a lot of money in the process. So it really tells us that deeply, humans, there's something we are always longing for, something that money cannot fulfill, something that materialism cannot fulfill. And for African Americans who are thinking for African Americans who the property is what is keeping them from coming to Africa to live that humble life, of which God also requires us to not worry. In the United States, you are always worrying. Maybe it's that property, maybe it's that good job. So here is something that you, an African American who is thinking that you can't leave your good job and move to Africa because of this and that. People have left good things only to listen to the inner voice. Always listen to your spirit. If your spirit tells you to move to Africa, then I believe your spirit knows better. It's always wise to listen to the inner voice. Here is something that you should know. So in a world often divided by material wealth and professional success, the decision of a Black American to leave a promising job in the USA and embrace a humble life in Ghana raises profound questions about the pursuit of happiness and the significance of listening to the inner voice. This woman had all she wanted in the United States, but she lacked something that she could only come and find here in Africa. Okay, so the allure of Africa for Black American extends beyond the tangible markers of success. Moving to Africa is a journey rooted in the desire to reconnect with ancestral roots, embrace a unique cultural identity, and heed the whispers of inner self. So in this video, I'll be delving into the motivation. Sister has said why she moved here. Also, she has emphasized that the richness of life lies not just in external achievements, but in the pursuit of authenticity and personal fulfillment. So one of the central themes I've gathered from this video is this. Migration is the quest for cultural resonance. You know, Black Americans find themselves yearning for a connection with their African heritage, seeking a life that aligns more closely with the values and traditions of their ancestors, the ancestors that they never saw, because it's been 400 plus years since the first slave ship left the coast of West Africa, bound to the United States of America, you know. So the decision to live a humble life in Africa, that is Ghana, also reflects a shift away from the frenetic pace of modern Western society. The inner voice often speaks in whispers, drowned out by the noise of ambition and external expectations. In Ghana, for instance, away from the clamor of corporate corridors, individuals can attune themselves to that inner voice, you know, rediscovering dreams, passions, and a sense of purpose that may have been obscured by the demands of high-paced career. Actually, I've heard that USA is fast-paced, New York is fast-paced. Things are real quick. In Africa, things are significantly slower, you know. Furthermore, the embrace of a humble life signifies a rejection of materialism as the sole measure of success, you know. In a consumer-driven world, the choice to live with less becomes a radical statement about what truly matters. It's an acknowledgement that the pursuit of wealth, while essential, should not overshadow the pursuit of a meaningful, purposeful existence. This journey of moving to Africa is not without its challenges. It's full of challenges. So adapting to a different economic, social, and cultural landscape can be arduous. Okay, arduous, I think here means hard. I give a lot of thanks to the sister for sharing her thoughts, and also for the brother for airing the video. And also, this is my thoughts about what I consider is appropriate and what I consider is right, because the sister has made very bold steps, steps that many of us, I don't know if myself I would do that, but I wish I would.